strategist. So all this stuff that Hillary's folks are shooting out, all the stuff that they're singing at the convention. Like I'm watching the convention on my flight home last night, and I'm like, holy shit! All these stars, all these celebrities. What is this? Is this a party, a concert, or a real convention? Say what you want about the Republican Party. Say if you want to call it a shit show, but they were real politicians, real people. I can't just I can't serve who's real, who's fake when it comes to Republican for the Democratic Party, because it's all these celebrities pushing their own hidden agenda. Like, why is the creative girls talking about women this and women that, equal pay this, equal pay that, as if Trump would not do that as well. I think Trump has that, he was talking about that building a wall. He's talking about Muslims. He's talking about everything. I understand that. And I think that's what's throwing people off the scent of Trump. Just think about how much Trump has done in a short amount of time in politics. It's amazing. I mean, he's having an astonishing Rookie of the Year. I was telling somebody the other day, I remember, people put a lot of stock in convention speeches. I remember 4 years ago with Marco Rubio, I was like, man, this guy he got next. He might be the next face of the Republican Party. And Trump took him to shreds. Killed him. Totally destroyed this guy. So again, I don't take too much stock in these conventions. It seems like it's a great show. I really did like what Ted Cruz did, because he kept it 100. He's not faking the funk. And in life, I like to be around people like that. I like to be around people who I know aren't fake, who aren't going to stab me in the back. I'd rather see the knife coming in the front than in the back at all times. So then, we got a couple of weeks to football training camp. And apparently the NBA is still a hot topic. They got the whole Olympic thing, which I think is overrated. I'm not sure how much of the Olympics I'm going to be watching this year, considering, you know what, I'm probably going to be praying more for our athletes than watching the Olympics, because Brazil's a shit show right now, that there's no Olympics should be there. I'm praying that no one gets kidnapped. I'm praying that no one's family member gets kidnapped, catches Ezekiel virus, catches AIDS, whatever the case would be, because it's going to be hot out there. If you ever saw the movie City of Gods, one of my favorite movies of all time, check it out on Netflix. That's Brazil every day. So, again, I'm praying for the safety of our Olympians. With that being said, Team USA basketball, everybody's making a big thing. I personally love that Kevin Durant was booed at the first game. I thought that was great. And it's just something different. I mean, he needs to be the villain. He needs to embrace being the villain and get over this. Why are they booing me? Because he needs to embrace being the villain, because Russell Westbrook is embracing being angry. He's like, this guy didn't talk to me when he left. I'm not his friend in real life anymore. Like, he's really taking it hard. So I expect Russell Westbrook to have a dominant season. And the more and more I think about it, I don't know if he's going to get traded. I don't know if he's going to want to leave OKC. He might be like, you know what, fuck it. It's my team now. We're going to build around me and get the parts we need, because I really want to beat the shit out of the Warriors and anybody that stops in my way. So I'm leaning towards Westbrook staying with Oklahoma City for the long haul, and we'll see what happens after that. So that's sports right there in a nutshell. It's a dog days of summer. I want to get into that real quick, talking about the Lions, the cheating. And, I have a philosophy about cheating. Listen, man, in life, you get what you negotiate for. And if you got to negotiate for what you want, sometimes you might have to cut some corners. I have no problem with that. I've seen all these football players get in trouble for weed. Like, we're talking about weed, man. We're not talking about cocaine or heroin. We're talking about weed. Something that gets you a little buzz, but in not even an hour time, you're okay. I think everybody needs to cut back a little bit, considering the pain and the hit. Weed helps with the pain. And considering the damage that football players got to go through, considering the contracts are not guaranteed, considering that, weed testing is pretty much from October to, I believe, not even October, I'm sorry, it's between April to August. So that means all the other time they could smoke up as much as they want. Now, my thing is, why test them? Why not test them all year round? You see, that's how hypocritical the NFL is. They'll only do it for a period of time, but they won't do it all year round. So it's more like, it's more like the owners treating the players like cattle and just want them in top shape, but they won't, but not really concerned about their player safety, not concerned about their habits. Only when it's during training camp time, they want to be concerned about the habits. So I think that's a lot. It's very asinine on the owner's part. Another thing going on out there, I want to talk real quick about the WWE Universal Championship. Are you kidding me? That's the awful name. Listen, who said that was a great name? I want to know who run that by Vince. So if you're not familiar, we have the brand split. SmackDown has its own brand. Raw has its own brand. The WWE Champion is actually on SmackDown, Dean Ambrose. So Raw needs to get a title. I would have been better. It would have made so much more sense if Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley would have came out on Monday night and was said everything they said at the beginning. Raw needs a champion, and be like, "Hey, you guys remember this? Throw out a nice video package of the World Heavyweight Championship. Throw out a nice video package with WCW highlights, Triple H highlights versus Shawn Michaels. That whole lineage that title has. Like now, you create a title that has no lineage." It has no history, and you just Universal. So let me get it straight: SmackDown has the World Champion, and now Raw has the Universal. God, they need to hire me. I can write better storylines than that. I just hope this belt looks amazing, because if it doesn't look amazing, it's going to get a lot of flack on social media, as it isn't getting enough already. So we'll see what happens there. What else is going on? And so talk about wrestling real quick. Again, Brock Lesnar, he's going to be wrestling Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I'm actually okay with some of these SummerSlam matches. We're going to have that Finn Balor. If you're not familiar with Finn, check out some NXT, check out some New Japan Pro highlights. I'm a big Indies guy. A lot, I'm proud to watch a lot of these wrestlers that's there now. I watched them grow up. I watched, El Generico, who was Sami Zayn. I watched Kevin Steen, who's Kevin Owens. I watched Tyler Breeze, who is Seth Rollins. I watched these guys come up from the indie circuit, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, all these guys. And to see where they're at now, it's a beautiful thing. So Finn's a great guy. I'm telling you, that match with him and Seth is gonna be the price of admission. And I like what they're doing over on SmackDown, where you're going to have Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler, who's been pretty buried in the roster, but now with this brand split, you got talent that's never really had an opportunity to shine, have the opportunity now. So I get why they did a brand split. It's good for business. I just hate the name of the Raw World Championship. So like I said earlier, I'm excited for SummerSlam because it's in my backyard. I already have my tickets for NXT Brooklyn. I have my tickets for SummerSlam. I have my tickets for Monday Night Raw the next night. I usually make it a weekend event. I did 2 out of the 3 last year, and this year and next year it's going to be back at Barclays Center. They did a 3-year deal, so I'm psyched about that. My guy Peter Rosenberg is going to have a wrestling party the Friday before SummerSlam. I'm going to definitely check that out. He's going to have a lot of wrestlers there. I'm going to try to get a lot of interviews, see if I get some stuff on the podcast, get some stuff for Overtime.news, and just really branch out. I'm a big Wrestling Mark, so I want to make my face known throughout the Wrestling Marks universe. So that's pretty much the rest of my summer. After that, it's all about football. And I can't wait to debate Cowboy fans about Tony Romo's, he's good between September and December. Anything after that, he's not on Eli's level. So I can't wait to talk about those things. Football's back. It's almost time to get into fantasy drafts. One thing I learned from last year is I did a lot of fantasy drafts in July and August. I'm not doing any until September 1st. It just makes more sense. Players get hurt. Things are subject to change. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the football season. I'm looking forward to a lot of things. And off of sports, I just want to, get back into the national discussion about, the Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter and all that dialogue. And I noticed something this morning when I was watching First Take. And big shout out to Max Kellerman. A lot of you guys may not be familiar with Max. He's a New Yorker. I'm familiar with his. He's the essential definition of hustler. This guy started off with his own show about boxing, and it grew to, it took off. HBO hired him. ESPN hired him, and he is where he is now. And he's very knowledgeable. He's very calm. Like when he's debating Stephen A. Smith on the first take, I'm like, damn, he is really calm. And Stephen A. is just out there, being all animated and emotional as always. It's good to see Max bring some calmness back to that table. I think it's a great pickup for ESPN did that put him on First Take. I'm hearing rumblings that the only reason Max took that job is because First Take is looking like it's going to return back to New York. If you're not familiar with the Old Cold Pizza, Old Cold Pizza is actually filmed across the street from Massacre Garden at the Hammerstein Theater in the basement. The same theater that Monday Night Raw originated from. I'm just a stat guy right here. I can just throw out stats for you. And matter of fact, I know I walk by it sometimes. You can still see the Cold Pizza emblem faded away in the wall. But I'm hearing rumbles that First Take is going to move their set to New York to make it easier for Max and Stephen A. Because Stephen A. technically lives in South Jersey, and he takes that commute the commute to Bristol as much as he can. But we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so back to the whole matter at hand. I didn't appreciate when Trump was saying in his speech last week about, he wouldn't address the Black Lives Matter movement, but he was just on the side of cops. And I understand that, we need our cops to defend us and all that good stuff. But, I think the problem with this country in general is that we're in everybody else's business except our own. Why worry about building a wall to stop out illegal immigrants when we have our own issues at hand? So some of the stuff I agree with Trump. We need to fix our bridges and tunnels. We need to fix our infrastructure. We need to fix border patrol. We don't need to build a wall, though. We don't need to build a wall. That needs to be that's being blown away. And then I'm hearing, Charles Barkley and these other athletes talk about black on black crime. And I don't want to hear that right now because as of right now, as I'm taping this, 3 more officers have been acquitted in the trial of Freddie Gray. Freddie Gray, if you're not familiar, was the gentleman that lost his life while in custody with the Baltimore police. Not only did he lose his life, but his neck was severed. So I'm assuming he did that by himself. He did that on his own. He severed his own neck. And that's the problem that I have, that I will always have about this whole police brutality situation, is that there's never a case where the cop is acquitted. And never a case where the cop gets, I'm not acquitted. Never a case where the cop is found guilty. Not once. Not once. This blue wall of silence BS needs to come down. It's insane. It's insane that all this time, not one cop gets in trouble. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I would just like to see someone held accountable, because I know if that was me and my job, I'm out the door. I'm not saying let's throw officers in jail. I'm just saying let's find somebody guilty. That's it. And this is what keeps the communities up in uproar. This is what drives crazy people to want to grab a gun and shoot cops. It's a cause and effects. And until we understand the cause and effects, this country is going to continue the cycle that it's on. And that's a sad thing, because I think this country is better than that. It's way better than that. And speaking of better, I applaud Jordan for finally saying something. And a lot of people are like, why is Jordan taking so long to say something? And I'm not one to question anybody's logic. I'm a little older than the majority of listeners, the majority of folks that probably don't remember Jordan. But actually remembering, after his 3rd championship, I remember his pops died over some, he not died, he was murdered. He was murdered. Someone tried to jack him for his car. So those things, I'm sure Jordan thinks about that every day. So he knows, Michael Jordan firsthand knows about violence, all right? So people need to relax and stop coming down at him so hard in terms of why don't he say something about the community? He's not an activist. He's a business mogul. If you feel like he should say something, then maybe you should be an activist. Maybe you should do something. I know I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to do a lot of things, and I'm going to talk about that in upcoming weeks when those things are officially final and can go on the table and can be discussed. And that's all you got to do. You got to be the change that you want to see in the world. It all starts with you. Don't rely on others. It starts with you. But again, I applaud Michael. I read this article on Undefeated, and I thought it was really well said, well